After I won 100,000 in the lottery, my family descended on me with reproaches and greedy demands to share my good fortune. No one asked how I was feeling, just how much I would give them. And when I just needed help moving, my father bellowed, "We're not your slaves." My sister rolled her eyes, "You're only good for money, not trouble." I looked at them and said one word, "Accepted." They didn't anticipate my next move. And when the vocal ones sprinkled in screaming, "You were supposed to take care of us. After all we've done for you." I only smiled. Exactly. After everything. So I've been sitting on this for a while. It's been chewing away at me for days, maybe weeks, and I just need to get it out. Not looking for advice or sympathy. I'm not even sure I want anyone to respond. Just needed a place to dump this. Somewhere outside my head. If you think it sounds fake, cool. I wish it was fake. I really, truly do. Let me start with something that didn't seem like a big deal at the time, but now won't stop playing on repeat in my brain. A couple of weeks ago, I was sitting at the counter early in the morning, eating cereal like I always do. Nothing special, just a Tuesday or whatever. My dad, Carl, walks in, which isn't strange, but he usually just grunts and makes coffee. That morning, though, he didn't do any of that. He just stood there, staring at me. Eyes baggy like he hadn't slept all night, beard all scruffy. He looked like someone had hit pause on him at the worst possible moment. And then he says, "You know, some people pay rent to sit at their own blood's table." Just like that. Flat. No smirk, no sarcasm. Like he was delivering some life-altering truth. I looked up from my cereal and just blinked at him, like what the hell does that even mean? But I didn't say anything. I just kind of nodded and kept chewing. Figured maybe he was having a weird day. Or thought he was being philosophical. For context, I'm 27, still living at home. Not by choice. I had some savings, had a plan to get out, but last year that all went up in smoke, medical bills, job stuff, long story. Not interesting. Point is, I didn't exactly choose to be here. But you'd think my own family wouldn't treat me like a parasite for existing. My mom, Cheryl, is all into her church circles and image management. She likes to act like we're the perfect, tight-knit family, the ones who always say grace and send Christmas cards on time. In reality, she mostly cares about appearances. Like if the neighbors think her son's still living at home, it's my failure, not the fact that life's a bit of a mess for a lot of people my age. Then there's my sister, Emma. She's 24, moved out last year with her boyfriend, Tyler. She acts like she's too busy to talk to us unless she needs something: laundry, food, a ride. She mastered that whole show up, get what you need, vanish routine. Carl, my dad? I don't even know how to describe him. He's not abusive. Not cruel. He's just there. Passive-aggressive when it suits him. Says little but always manages to make you feel small. We're not screaming at each other every day, that'd be simpler, honestly. It's more like we're roommates who low-key can't stand one another but pretend otherwise for the sake of awkward silence. Then, out of nowhere, my life kind of flips. I win the lottery. Not the kind that lets you quit your job and buy a mansion, no private jets or golden yachts. But it was $100,000. More money than I'd ever had in my account, period. When I got the email confirming it, I literally thought it was a scam. Took me a full day to believe it was real. And even then, I told no one. Not a single person. I just sat with it. For a few days. Let it marinate. I didn't even cash the check. I wanted to think clearly before doing anything stupid. I had ideas: finally pay off my busted truck, get out of this house, maybe get into a trade program or start my own thing. It wasn't enough to coast on forever, but it was enough to give myself a second shot. For a moment, and I mean a brief, glowing moment, I felt like maybe life wasn't just happening to me anymore. Then came the leak. Enter my cousin Brandon. 25. Full-time clout chaser. Always showing off on social media, always pretending he owns stuff that's probably leased, borrowed, or just filtered to hell. He was over for Cheryl's birthday dinner. She made this whole family first thing out of it. I left my laptop open for, like, 2 minutes. I think he saw something on the screen, maybe the email confirmation or a saved PDF. Next day, I get a text from him. "Were you taking us to Vegas or what?" I stare at it like, "Excuse me?" I reply with something like, "Nah, man. Chill." He sends back a bunch of laughing emojis. 12 hours later, it's all over the group chat. Every relative we've got, aunts, uncles, second cousins, suddenly becomes super interested in my well-being. So happy for you. God has truly blessed you. Don't forget your roots. Generosity is a test from the Lord. Cheryl posts some very specific Bible verse on Facebook about giving freely and honoring your parents. I get tagged in memes about success and sharing. Old neighbors I haven't seen in years are commenting with hearts and praying hands. I haven't even touched the money yet. No one asks what I plan to do. No one says, hey, how are you feeling? It's all, what are you gonna buy your mom first? Or, you should help your dad out, he's been stressed lately. Like I suddenly turned into a walking debit card. Emma shows up out of nowhere one afternoon, just stands in the kitchen with her arms crossed, sipping from a Starbucks cup she definitely didn't pay for. She goes, so, you gonna do the right thing, or what? I'm like, what does that even mean? She says her rent's tight, and she and Tyler just need a little help. A month or two, nothing major. I tell her I haven't even deposited the check yet. She rolls her eyes and starts scrolling on her phone like the conversation's over and I failed the test. Carl doesn't say anything right away. Just starts slamming drawers louder than usual, stomping around the house like the floor insulted him. A few days later, he sits down next to me while I'm watching TV. No lead up, no small talk. We took you in when you had nothing, he says. That wasn't easy. I paused the TV. You're my dad. You didn't take me in. I live here. But he keeps going, says I should step up for the family, pay it forward. Says now's my chance to show I'm not just a leech. I tell him I've been thinking about moving out, finally getting my own place, paying off my stuff. He laughs. Selfish. That word again. Like wanting independence is some kind of betrayal. It gets worse. I finally find a small apartment, nothing fancy, just something that isn't here. I ask if someone can help me move next weekend. You know, with the heavy stuff. Fridge. Couch. The usual. Carl blows up. What, you think we're your servants now? You expect us to break our backs while you run off and pretend you're better than us? Cheryl just keeps scrolling through her phone like she doesn't hear it. Emma? She laughs. Literally laughs. Says, the only thing you're good at is making excuses and hoarding cash. I just stare at all of them. Not yelling. Not crying. Just stunned. Only thing I can say is, noted. Then I get up and leave. Later that night, my phone explodes with notifications. Voicemails. Texts. More Facebook nonsense. Some of it guilt-tripping. Some of it full-blown rage. After everything we've done for you. How can you be so heartless? You're supposed to take care of us now. I sit on the edge of my bed, staring at the screen, not even angry. Just numb. And that's when it really hits me. I'm not a son to them. I'm not a brother. I'm an opportunity. A ticket. A walking balance they're hoping to cash. So yeah. I'm done. They want to make this about money? Fine. Let's see how that goes. I guess I always knew I wouldn't stay there forever. But I thought maybe when I finally moved out it'd be something quiet. Simple. Maybe even a little bittersweet. It wasn't. It was cold. Tense. And honestly, it told me everything I needed to know. I found a small apartment, nothing fancy, but mine. Rent was manageable, utilities included. I paid the deposit using some of the lottery money and kept it to myself at first. A few days later, I decided to say something. We were in the kitchen. Carl reading the paper like he always pretended to. Cheryl sipping her tea. Emma scrolling on her phone, halfway listening. I said I found a place. I'm moving out next weekend. Dead silence. Then Carl muttered, figures. Cheryl just blinked. You couldn't even wait until things settled down? Emma smirked. You sure you can even handle that? No one said congratulations. No one offered to help. They acted like I'd announced a betrayal. I packed quietly over the next few days. My room was mostly old furniture and thrift store leftovers. Still, stuffing it all into boxes felt surreal. When I finally asked for help with moving the bigger stuff, the mattress, fridge, futon, Carl exploded. What, now we're your movers? We're not here to break our backs while you abandon us. Cheryl stayed quiet. Emma looked amused. I said all I asked for was help with a couch. Carl, we gave you a place to live. This is how you repay us. I didn't argue. Just looked at them, said, noted, and walked out. Moving day came. No one helped. No one even said goodbye. Carl pretended I wasn't there. Cheryl had a church thing. Emma disappeared to Tyler's place. So I loaded everything myself, couch, boxes, bed frame, all of it. I even left a box stuck in the stairwell and didn't care. That first night in my new apartment, bare mattress on the floor. No couch, no Wi-Fi, no fridge yet. But I slept better than I had in years. The peace didn't last long. By the next night, I started getting messages. Hope you made it okay. Must be nice to run away. You'll regret turning your back on us. Emma Venmo'd me a request for $200. Then canceled and sent another for $500. The note said, just in case. I ignored both. Carl didn't say anything directly, just started leaving voicemails. We took care of you when no one else would. You owe us. Step up. Delete. Then came the call from the landlord. Just checking in, he said. Your folks haven't paid rent in 3 months. They said you were helping out. I laughed. Nope. Not anymore. He said the lease was almost up and if they didn't catch up, they'd be out. Unless someone else takes over, he added. I paused. What if that someone was me? He chuckled. You serious? Maybe, I said. Later that night, I sat on the floor of my new place, thinking about it. Taking over the house wouldn't be revenge. Not exactly. It'd be closure. Proof that I'd finally stopped letting them control me. And that's when I decided I wasn't going back. I wasn't rescuing them. I wasn't their bank, their backup, their free ride. They made me feel small for years and now they'd see what happened when I finally stood tall. I thought ignoring them would make it stop. You'd think that once someone leaves the house, starts paying their own bills, and doesn't ask for a damn thing, their family would just move on. You'd be wrong. The silence on their end didn't mean peace. It meant planning. It started with small guilt trips disguised as kindness. Cheryl sent a text saying, Hope you're doing okay. Power bill's a little high this month. We're praying on it. Then Emma messaged me a photo of their fridge, empty except for baking soda and a ketchup bottle. This is dinner now, she wrote. Carl didn't say anything, which I knew was his way of boiling in silence until he could explode in person. But that wasn't even the worst of it. One night, I got a DM from someone I hadn't talked to since high school. Hey, is your family okay? I saw something kinda weird on Facebook. She sent me a link. I clicked it and nearly dropped my phone. GoFundMe. Title, Emergency Family Crisis, Help Us Keep Our Home. Written by Cheryl, of course. All about how their son left unexpectedly, how they were facing financial ruin, how they were fighting to survive and needed help from their loving community. There was a photo of our house. Boxes on the porch. A filter added to make it look like it was hit by a hurricane. The comments were full of sympathy. People from church were saying things like, You raised him right, Cheryl. So sorry to see this. Some kids forget where they come from. Not one person thought to ask me what was actually going on. I couldn't help myself. I commented, Maybe ask the son you emotionally manipulated before asking strangers. It was gone within minutes. Then came the inevitable text from Cheryl in all caps. How dare you? You've humiliated us. You know nothing about sacrifice. I left it on read. Emma FaceTimed me next. I answered out of morbid curiosity. She was crying, smudged mascara, hair a mess, lying dramatically in the back seat of her boyfriend's car. We're falling apart. Tyler's car broke down. Rent's late. Mom can't sleep. Dad's losing it. And you don't care. I said, What does any of that have to do with me? You abandoned us. No, I said. I left. There's a difference. She screamed and threw her phone. I heard it clatter before the call dropped. Then came the call from my old landlord. He was calm, polite, but you could hear the tension under his words. Hey, just checking in. Your folks haven't paid rent in 3 months. Your mom said you were going to help. That true? I let out a breath. Not even a little. He sighed. Lease is up at the end of the month. If it's not paid, they're out. Unless someone else steps in. I asked what it would take to take it over myself. He laughed a little. You want it? Maybe. If it's available. I'll let you know, he said. That night, I sat in my empty living room thinking about it. No furniture yet, just a mattress and a folding chair. I stared at the wall where the TV would go and thought, why not? It wasn't revenge. It was a reset. Reclaiming the space where I was always made to feel small. A few days later, Emma showed up at my apartment. Don't ask me how she got the address, probably Brandon, the cousin who leaked my lottery win. She banged on my door until I opened it a crack. I need to crash here. No. Just a shower. I haven't eaten. Not my problem. She tried to push her way in. I held the door firm. She slapped me. I didn't react. She screamed that I was selfish and walked away. Next day, Carl came to my building. Told the front desk it was an emergency. The front desk guy texted me like, There's a very angry man downstairs asking for you. I said, Don't let him up. He didn't. Carl stood outside for nearly an hour before leaving. That night, I got a voicemail of him muttering, You're dead to me. Delete. Soon after, the landlord confirmed it. The house would be vacant at the end of the month. You want it? He asked. It's yours. I said yes. Didn't tell anyone? Just waited. Moving day came. I showed up just as they were hauling the last of their things onto the porch. Emma was sitting on a box. Cheryl pacing. Carl scowling by the driveway, arms crossed like he was guarding a fort that had already fallen. No one spoke. I walked up the path and unlocked the gate. Cheryl stepped forward. Please. Let's just talk. I didn't even look at her. Emma moved in front of the door. This isn't right. We're your family. Carl muttered after everything we did. I walked around them. Opened the door. Walked in. The house was empty. It felt like the first real breath I'd taken in years. The landlord arrived, handed me the keys, and said, "All yours." He didn't even acknowledge them. I signed the paperwork and started moving in. Emma tried one last time. I left something inside. Asked the landlord. She shoved me again. I stood still. Cheryl started crying. Carl hurled a box onto the lawn and slammed the gate. I shut the door behind me and locked it. That night, the calls came in waves. Where will we go? How could you? You'll regret this. Emma blocked me, unblocked me, then sent a thumbs down emoji. I turned off my phone and unpacked. For the first time in forever, I felt calm. They kept trying, of course. Messages from church friends. Voicemails from distant relatives. All saying the same thing. Family is forever. You owe them. Be the bigger person. But none of them knew the real story. None of them saw what it was like growing up in that house, the quiet neglect, the constant guilt, the way they only showed up when they needed something. Cheryl sent one last message. One day you'll understand. You'll have kids and feel this pain. You'll see what you've done to us. I read it once, then deleted it. I spent the next few weeks fixing the house. Painted over every wall. Replaced the carpet. Fixed the busted drawer Carl used to slam. Now it closes quietly. Sometimes I sit on the porch with coffee, watching the street, listening to the wind. No drama. No yelling. No manipulation. Just quiet. Just mine. I'm not angry anymore. Not sad. Just done. They treated me like a bank account. Like a tool. Like a burden when I had nothing and an obligation when I finally had something of my own. Now they can deal with life without the ungrateful son they used to ignore. People can say I was harsh. That I went too far. Let them. If you've never been treated like you only matter when you're useful, you won't understand. And if you have, you'll know exactly why I did what I did. They wanted to know what ungrateful looked like? Well, here it is. A locked door. A clean start. And peace they'll never again be allowed to ruin.